Hey, hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Cakes of It All. And today we are doing Bridgerton Season 2. We're just going to get it started. So Season 2 of Bridgerton focuses on Anthony's story, or the Viscount who loved me. And I got so many words for Anthony, but I can't give them to you all. He's freaking crazy. Thinking, I'm just going to find me a wife. I'm going to find me like a brooding mare. It's going to be great. I don't need love. Now, for Anthony, I chose this cake, and I know that it probably doesn't make sense to anybody but me, but I did choose because it's got the blue at the top, it's cascading. Anthony very much feels like he is in charge of everything Bridgerton, which, I mean, relatively speaking, he is because he's the Viscount, but my guy, you got 7 siblings and a mom that can help you if you need help. Then I also liked it because it incorporated the purple, which, to me, represents our lovely lady. Our lovely lady, the phenomenal, the beautiful Kate Sharma. Now, Kate don't want to get married. She and Anthony are literally 2 peas in a pod, and the fact that we had to watch him almost marry her sister, which isn't in the book, kind of drove me a little crazy. And like I said, for some reason, purple really represents Kate to me. So I chose this beautiful purple cascade. I think it's a little indicative because it's kind of messy. Kate doesn't really know where she's going, what she's doing, but it's still gorgeous because in the end, she will be our Viscountess. Next, we have Edwina Sharma, Kate's younger sister, and Anthony's fiance for a hot minute. Edwina, to me, is everything soft and beautiful and pure about the show that is Bridgerton. She really just wants to do what's right for her family, and so I chose this beautiful, gorgeous, flowered, slightly pink, because I associate pink with her again. I just feel like she wore a lot of it on the show. And it's just soft and nice. But there's also, like, you know, these little petals that are just out and about. Because she's going to go through it. Her sister and her fiance are kind of in love. Going a little out of order with the Bridgerton siblings, I am doing Daphne next. I wish Daphne had been in this season more, so we didn't get to see as much of Daphne as I'd liked, but she is, I would say, an important piece of the story for Anthony and Kate. So Daphne's really settled into herself. She has a husband, she has a child, she's a duchess, she really knows what she's doing. So I've chosen this beautiful cascade cake here, and so I wanted to choose something that knows what it's doing. This cake is very, there's no mess, there's no fuss. Daphne has settled into being the Duchess. So next up we have baby Benedict Bridgerton. You shall all bear witness to my talents. I love this man so much. So Benedict settles into himself, I would say, a little bit more in this season. He goes to the Royal Academy of Art, although he does find out that Antony kind of bought him that spot. But he's discovering who he is with the help of Colin's specialty and just kind of being able to have a creative outlet that's very structured. So I chose this cake because it's still messy because Benedict he's not there yet. But it is fun and kind of indicative of Benedict's style of art that we do see in the show. Listen, he's still my favorite idiot. It's Colin Bridgerton, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Colin doesn't show up until episode 2, which kind of hurt my feelings. He's tanned, he's got facial hair, he's back from Greece, and he thinks he's better than ever, but let's be honest, he's got a lot of growing up to do still. So as Colin is still a mess, I've chosen this rough iced cake. It's getting there. I wanted to do something that was a little Greek inspired, and then I didn't really find anything that I liked, but I enjoyed the sort of like gold that this has on it, and then of course the yellow flower on top, because who is Colin without his Penelope? Next up, we have Eloise Bridgerton. Now, Eloise Bridgerton, a little off the rails this season. So Eloise makes a friend, I guess, in the boy who works at the printer's shop where Whistledown is printed, Theo Sharp. Again, not in the books, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be exactly like the books. But, I mean, in the end, she's going to end up with who she ends up with because that's how this works. But Eloise is kind of radical this season, and so I've chosen this cake with these beautiful pieces on it that just kind of show that, while she's out in society now officially, and she's trying to kind of begrudge everything that society is, she still also has to be, at least slightly, the expectations of society while also being rebellious and doing a lot of things that could get her in a lot of trouble, but all she wants is to go listen to some beautiful speeches about women's rights. More power to you, Eloise. Oh, I just love her so much. Now we're going to talk about Penelope Featherington. Now, Penelope now that we know she's Lady Whistledown, we see a lot more of that from her in the season. We kind of see how Lady Whistledown works for her, how she does all the amazing and fantastical and wild things that she does. She's also going through a lot this season with her dad being dead and her cousin Jack showing up, and Jack, you know, kind of being a bad person, and her mom doing what Portia Featherington does best, which is just muck everything up, honestly. We also see a lot of Penelope and Colin this season, which I really, really enjoyed. The friend zoning of Penelope is real by Colin Bridgerton. And I know he doesn't know that he's doing it, but it still hurts my feelings. So I will say I did pick this for several reasons. One, because I just think it's beautiful and I think Penelope is starting to blossom into who she's really meant to be. I also picked it because there's citrus on it, and Penelope, as Lady Whistledown, refers to herself as an overripe citrus, and I just think she's so clever. I also just really love that there's a slight hint of blue in there. I do think Penelope's kind of understanding who she is without any of the Bridgertons, because at the end of the season we do see her quarrel with Elle, and we also see Colin deliver the infamous "I would never court Penelope Featherington, not in your wildest fantasies. I don't appreciate being made to cry in the last 5 minutes of a show. It's so rude." But I think the nice thing about this season for Penelope is that she is discovering who she is without anybody else in her life. Next up we have Will Mondrick, who I just love him so much. Will is just trying this season. He's trying to be a business owner. He stopped boxing. He's really desperately just wanting to kind of ingratiate himself in society. So for Will and his family this season, I've chosen this cake. It's a little rough iced. There's gold foil on it. I think Will is really trying to sort of become a part of society, but also be different, with opening his own gentleman's club that will compete with White's, which, you know, a lot of gentlemen had been a part of White's for years. And so he's doing something different. He's got his family to support. He's working with his wife. I think she kind of is represented in the purple flowers in this one. He's got a lot going on, and he's just really trying. Next up, we have Lady Danbury. Now, Lady Danbury has a lot to do with. She's just, you know, she sponsored Kate and Edwina coming out into society, coming here from India, and I just think Lady Danbury is doing her best with the kind of chaos that she has with having Edwina, who's really kind of the perfect candidate for anybody to have as a wife, and Kate, who she can clearly see has feelings for the Viscount. So the turmoil is represented in these vines, and I just think Lady Danbury wears a lot of purple and red. There's a lot of purple in this season, I didn't even realize. Now next up we have Violet Bridgerton. Violet she's got a lot on her plate this season with having Eloise come out into society, Eloise who doesn't want to be in society, and then she's also dealing with the Viscount, who has decided to find himself a wife. I love when she announces that to the entire room. It's so Violet Bridgerton of her. So for Violet, I've chosen this beautiful piece. It's a little messy. This season is kind of messy. We see a kind of darker side of Violet this season in all the flashbacks to when her husband Edmund died. Very clearly a difficult time for her. And, you know, on top of that, she also had a baby, and that was very difficult. So Violet is really trying to find this beautiful moment at the top here in kind of all of the darkness, and coming to realize that maybe she didn't prepare her children for life the way she thought she did. And lastly, but certainly never least, the beautiful Queen Charlotte. I think Queen Charlotte had a interesting season in season 2. We see, I think, a little bit more of her background, I think, which would have been leading into the Queen Charlotte series. We understand a little bit more of her and her husband in this season, again, leading into the Queen Charlotte series. There's clearly a lot going on for this woman, and the hope is that we can see more, because I just really enjoy seeing her and watching her desperately try to find out who Lady Whistledown is and threaten Eloise. Girl's bold. She's a queen, so of course. This is the cake that I chose for Queen Charlotte. It's got the writing on it, indicative of Lady Whistledown, and the chess pieces. I think Queen Charlotte thinks she's playing chess with Lady Whistledown, but she's playing checkers. And Penelope, who is, of course, Lady Whistledown, is in a whole different field. So it'll be fun to see what happens next season. So that was season 2 of Bridgerton as cakes. Get ready for season 3. It's coming your way. Well, my version of season 3. We have to wait till May for the actual season 3. But we're going to do it for fun.